If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. The Cleveland Browns made headlines on Sunday afternoon when they officially trimmed their roster ahead of the NFL's 53-man deadline, releasing 19 players and parting ways with two notable veterans. Among the most surprising moves was the release of quarterback Tyler Huntley, who many thought might serve as an experienced backup option. Instead, Cleveland opted to keep rookie Shedeur Sanders, along with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dillon Gabriel. Veteran cornerback Tony Brown was also let go, as the team prioritized younger options in the secondary. Offensive tackle Jackson Barton and safety Nick Needham were released outright, while the rest of the cuts went through the waiver system. It was a clear sign that the Browns are willing to take risks on youth and upside instead of relying too heavily on journeyman veterans who might not offer long-term value. The Browns now stand with 4 quarterbacks and a leaner, faster roster. Barton's departure was notable because he had starting experience with the Arizona Cardinals just last season, but he couldn't secure a spot on Cleveland's depth chart during training camp. Meanwhile, Needham's release raised eyebrows given his 63-game resume with the Miami Dolphins. Still, the Browns clearly leaned toward developing younger cornerbacks rather than carrying a veteran nickel specialist. Both players are now free to sign elsewhere immediately, while 17 others, including draft picks and practice squad hopefuls, must clear waivers first. It's a cutthroat reality of the NFL. One moment you're chasing a roster spot, and the next you're waiting to see if another team sees value in your skill set. For Cleveland, these decisions weren't just about the present. They were about shaping a team that can grow into the future. The shift was evident in who they chose to keep and who they were willing to let walk away after weeks of evaluation. Among the waived players were 2 recent fifth-round picks, defensive end KJ Henry and cornerback Darius Rush. Henry had bounced around the league after a short stint with Washington, spending time with the Bengals, Cowboys, and Eagles before ending last year as part of Philadelphia's Super Bowl-winning roster. Rush, once viewed as a potential third-rounder, had already worn the uniforms of the Colts, Chiefs, and Steelers, making brief appearances in Pittsburgh. Both players were brought into Cleveland with the hope that a change of scenery might spark consistency, but neither could lock down a permanent job. These cuts are particularly significant because they reflect how quickly the NFL moves on from young prospects if they don't deliver immediate returns. The Browns staff had to weigh potential against practicality, and ultimately, both Henry and Rush were casualties of a numbers game. For them, another fresh start may soon come, but Cleveland's roster spots are no longer available. As the dust settled from the cuts, the quarterback situation in Cleveland became the central talking point. With Huntley released, Shedeur Sanders emerged as the most intriguing storyline. The rookie quarterback, son of NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, now finds himself firmly in the mix heading into the 2025 season. Veteran Joe Flacco has already been confirmed as the Week 1 starter, but the Browns also carry Kenny Pickett, currently battling a hamstring injury, and fellow rookie Dillon Gabriel. Sanders, who was considered a possible first-round pick in the draft before sliding to the 5th round, has already turned heads with poise, accuracy, and flashes of brilliance during preseason action. While his spot is secure for now, his role remains fluid, as the team continues to figure out how to balance short-term security with long-term quarterback development. In many ways, the Browns' future may rest more on Sanders' growth than Flacco's experience. After the roster moves became public, Sanders took to Instagram with a heartfelt message to the fans. He thanked supporters for their encouragement, expressing gratitude for the opportunity and promising to keep improving day by day, rep by rep. His words resonated with Cleveland's passionate fan base, many of whom are eager to see a young quarterback develop into the face of the franchise. Social media buzzed with excitement, especially considering Sanders' impressive college career at Colorado, where he led the nation with a 74% completion rate and threw for over 4,000 yards and 37 touchdowns. His connection to his legendary father only adds to the intrigue, but Shedeur seems determined to carve out his own legacy. By acknowledging both the challenges and the blessings of his journey so far, Sanders struck the right balance between humility and confidence, which could go a long way in earning respect inside the locker room and beyond. Statistically, Sanders' preseason wasn't eye-popping, but it was efficient. He completed 17 of 29 passes for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns, showing touch in the red zone and confidence under pressure. Dillon Gabriel put up bigger numbers, throwing for 272 yards, but also had an interception to go with his lone touchdown. Pickett didn't play due to injury, leaving Flacco's veteran presence as the anchor heading into Week 1. Despite his limited reps, Sanders' efficiency stood out, especially when compared to many rookies who often struggle with turnovers in their first NFL action. Coaches praised his composure, though they also emphasized he has plenty of room to grow before he can challenge for meaningful snaps. The Browns' decision to carry 4 quarterbacks suggests they want to give Sanders and Gabriel extended time to develop without rushing them into action. In today's NFL, patience at quarterback can pay off in enormous dividends. Still, there's no ignoring the elephant in the room. Joe Flacco is 40 years old and entering what may very well be his final season. He was brought in to provide stability, not necessarily to lead the Browns into the future. That's why the presence of Sanders and Gabriel looms so large. Cleveland has a rare situation with 2 developmental quarterbacks on the same roster, and while it may create some redundancy, it also offers insurance. Should Flacco falter or Pickett's health issues linger, either rookie could see unexpected action. For Sanders in particular, every practice rep and every preseason throw is crucial. The Browns aren't expecting him to win games in September, but they are watching closely to see if he can be the quarterback of October, November, or beyond. The long-term picture in Cleveland may not revolve around Flacco at all, but around Sanders and his rapid progression. General Manager Andrew Berry made it clear in his press conference that the Browns believe in Sanders' potential, even if he isn't ready for prime time just yet. Berry highlighted the importance of development and patience, stressing that Cleveland doesn't want to put undue pressure on their rookie quarterback. That said, keeping 4 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster is not common in today's NFL, which underscores just how much the organization values Sanders and Gabriel. It's a calculated risk, one that sacrifices depth at other positions in exchange for protecting the future. While fans might clamor for immediate excitement, the Browns' leadership appears committed to playing the long game. In their view, the investment in Sanders is worth a roster spot today because of what he might become tomorrow. It's a gamble, but in a league where quarterback play determines everything, it may be the smartest gamble they've made. Cleveland's roster cuts weren't just about quarterbacks, though. The decision to waive or release linemen like Javion Cohen, Sebastian Gutierrez, Jason Ivey, Lorenzo Thompson, and D'Artagnan Tinsley showed how much emphasis the Browns placed on versatility and depth in the trenches. Similarly, the moves at tight end, parting with Sal Cannella and Mitchell Van Voren, made room for players with more upside in the passing game. Defensive names like Titus Lue, Marvin Moody, Charlie Thomas, Christian Holmes, Keenan Isaac, Ralph Holley, and Bucky Williams also didn't survive the cut, underscoring the fierce competition on defense. For many of these players, the practice squad remains a possibility, but for others, it may be back to free agency or a new city entirely. It's a harsh reminder of how fleeting NFL opportunities can be, but also how every cut shapes the character and identity of a team moving forward into the season. As the Browns shift focus toward Week 1, the storylines are clear. They've chosen youth over veterans at several positions, leaving experienced players like Huntley, Needham, and Barton looking for new jobs. They've embraced developmental prospects like Sanders and Gabriel, even at the cost of carrying an extra quarterback. They've prioritized upside and flexibility, while keeping an eye on the future beyond Flacco's brief tenure as starter. For Shedeur Sanders, this is just the beginning of what could be a defining journey in Cleveland. The fans are already behind him. The front office has voiced its confidence, and now the spotlight will only grow brighter with every snap. Whether he sees the field this season or not, Sanders has already turned the Browns' quarterback room into one of the most fascinating in the league. In a single day, roster cuts didn't just reshape the team. They reshaped the narrative of the franchise itself. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. The sports world is buzzing after an explosive statement from Myles Garrett that has sent shockwaves through the Cleveland Browns organization. Sources close to the team suggest that Garrett, known for his intensity and fiery personality on the field, made a comment regarding Shedeur Sanders that insiders are calling completely unprecedented. While the exact words have not been officially released, multiple reports hint that Garrett questioned Sanders' readiness and skill, sparking immediate concern among teammates and coaching staff. The locker room atmosphere, usually one of cautious optimism, has reportedly shifted to tension and whispered debates. Fans who follow Garrett's social media notice subtle but pointed remarks that seem to reference Sanders' abilities, and these digital breadcrumbs only fueled speculation. Analysts are already dissecting the implications for team chemistry, wondering if Garrett's outburst signals deeper unrest or is merely a moment of personal frustration. The Browns management is reportedly monitoring the situation closely. Word of Garrett's controversial statement spread rapidly across sports media outlets, igniting heated discussions on talk shows and fan forums alike. The timing, coming just as the Browns were preparing for a critical mid-season matchup, could not be more precarious. Teammates are reportedly trying to navigate the fallout carefully, balancing loyalty to Garrett with the need to protect Sanders from undue criticism. Some insiders suggest that Garrett's words were partially motivated by frustration over recent team performance, but others speculate there may be more personal factors at play. The rumor mill is filled with conjecture about how this tension might affect the locker room dynamic and overall team morale. Coaches are said to be walking a fine line between addressing the conflict and avoiding public drama. Meanwhile, fans are eagerly awaiting a statement, while pundits debate whether Garrett's remarks could potentially destabilize the Browns' season ambitions, a scenario no one wants to witness at this stage of the NFL calendar. Garrett's history as a passionate, sometimes volatile, defensive force adds another layer of intrigue to this unfolding story. Observers note that while he is celebrated for his on-field intensity, his off-field comments have occasionally sparked controversy, though rarely this directly targeting a teammate. Reports suggest that Garrett's remarks about Sanders have caused a noticeable shift in locker room dynamics, with some players allegedly taking sides, even if quietly. Social media exploded almost immediately, with fans dissecting potential hidden meanings and trying to read between the lines of Garrett's previous interviews. The coaching staff reportedly convened emergency meetings to strategize a response, understanding the potential impact on team unity and public perception. Experts argue that this type of internal friction, if not handled carefully, could ripple through the entire organization. Meanwhile, sports commentators are weighing in on how Garrett's statement might reflect broader issues within the Browns, from leadership challenges to player morale, creating an atmosphere thick with speculation and anticipation. Rumors suggest that Garrett's statement may have stemmed from personal frustrations regarding playtime, team strategy, or perceived hierarchy within the squad. Multiple insiders claim that while Sanders has been performing admirably, Garrett might feel overshadowed or challenged, leading to a blunt expression of his discontent. The narrative circulating is that Garrett's comments were not just casual criticism, but a pointed message that could have long-term consequences if left unaddressed. Coaches and veteran players are reportedly working behind the scenes to mediate, trying to prevent a fracture within the team before it escalates further. The timing, just before an important divisional clash, makes this issue even more sensitive. Fans and analysts are debating whether this outburst is a sign of leadership tension or simply a momentary lapse in judgment. Regardless, the rumor has already created a frenzy across NFL communities, with hot takes, memes, and speculation about potential disciplinary action, making this one of the most talked-about controversies of the season so far. Inside sources suggest that Garrett's comments have been dissected line by both team leadership and sports media, each interpretation fueling more drama. Some believe that Garrett aimed to motivate Sanders through tough criticism, while others interpret it as a blatant personal attack, undermining trust in the locker room. Reports indicate that Sanders has not yet publicly responded, maintaining a calm exterior, but insiders claim he is aware of the tension and is choosing his words carefully. The Browns coaching staff reportedly sees this as a delicate situation requiring diplomacy, aiming to address Garrett's frustrations without creating a lasting rift. Meanwhile, rumors persist that other players are quietly weighing in, with whispers of private conversations and subtle shifts in alliances. Analysts are debating the potential long-term effects on team cohesion, speculating whether this incident could influence upcoming game performances or even future roster decisions. The story is evolving quickly, keeping fans and media alike on edge. Some speculation suggests that Garrett's explosive remarks might also reflect deeper issues related to team identity and leadership. Insiders hint that the defensive star could be reacting to perceived favoritism, differing coaching priorities, or a broader frustration with the team's trajectory. The rumor circulating is that Garrett's tone was unusually sharp, making even veteran teammates take notice and prompting whispered hallway conversations among players. Social media amplification has only intensified the situation, with fans taking sides and debating the merits of Garrett's critique versus Sanders' potential and public image. The Browns front office is reportedly crafting a strategy to manage both the internal fallout and the public perception, trying to avoid a narrative that could overshadow the team's competitive goals. Experts suggest that if mishandled, this tension could have far-reaching implications for morale, focus, and even player retention, turning a locker room disagreement into a full-blown headline story. The timing of Garrett's statement couldn't be more sensitive, as the Browns are reportedly entering a stretch of critical games that could define their season. Sources indicate that team leaders are urgently working to restore harmony, balancing respect for Garrett's intensity with the need to shield Sanders from disproportionate scrutiny. Rumors suggest that conversations behind closed doors have been ongoing, with coaching staff attempting to de-escalate tensions before they manifest publicly on game day. Analysts are speculating that Garrett's words, whether intentionally provocative or spur of the moment, could subtly influence team performance, either galvanizing or destabilizing the squad. Fans are closely monitoring every interaction, eager for updates, and social media commentary has intensified, blending fact, speculation, and rumor into a feverish discussion. Industry insiders emphasize that how this situation is managed could serve as a case study in NFL locker room dynamics and leadership strategy, keeping the sports world captivated. Whispers from sources close to the Browns suggest that Garrett has not shied away from expressing his perspective privately, but the impact of the rumored statement has amplified exponentially in public. Multiple accounts describe a locker room atmosphere of quiet tension, where players are carefully navigating conversations and interactions, attempting to maintain professionalism while the rumor mill spins unchecked. Analysts are debating whether Garrett's critique is part of a larger narrative about accountability, team hierarchy, or personal rivalry. Social media feeds are flooded with memes, speculations, and interpretations, some supportive of Garrett's candor, others defending Sanders' potential and talent. Inside the organization, leadership reportedly faces a complex balancing act, acknowledging Garrett's passion while preventing any lingering negativity from affecting on-field focus. Experts emphasize that such scenarios require tact, transparency, and strategic communication, suggesting that how the Browns respond in the coming days could determine whether the situation escalates or is quietly contained, keeping fans on high alert for developments. Some insiders are hinting that Garrett's comments may spark broader discussions within the NFL about player conduct, criticism, and locker room dynamics. Rumors suggest that veteran leaders on the team have been privately advising Garrett to temper his public statements, emphasizing team cohesion and long-term reputation. Sanders, meanwhile, is reportedly handling the situation with measured professionalism, though sources note subtle indications of his awareness of the controversy. Analysts are drawing comparisons to other high-profile team conflicts in recent years, noting that while on-field talent is critical, managing interpersonal dynamics can be equally decisive. Fans are eagerly dissecting every gesture, interview, and social media post, trying to anticipate the next move. The Browns coaching staff is reportedly preparing contingency plans, balancing communication, morale, and media strategy to prevent the situation from spiraling. Industry commentators suggest that this incident could become a defining subplot of the season if left unresolved. Rumors continue to swirl that Garrett's statement about Sanders may have underlying motivations beyond immediate frustration, possibly tied to team strategy, perceived recognition, or personal ambition. Reports indicate that multiple players are quietly observing the unfolding drama, gauging how it might influence locker room alliances and game day cohesion. Analysts speculate that the Browns face a delicate challenge in addressing Garrett's comments without creating an environment of fear or resentment. Fans have taken the discussion online, producing endless debate threads, polls, and hot takes, fueling the story's momentum. Sources suggest that management is considering both private mediation sessions and public communication strategies to reassure stakeholders and maintain team focus. The NFL community is watching closely, recognizing that high-profile disagreements, when managed poorly, can reverberate through the season. With each passing day, the narrative grows, and speculation about Garrett and Sanders dominates conversations, keeping the Browns at the center of a brewing storm. As the rumor mill intensifies, speculation now focuses on how Garrett and Sanders might interact in upcoming games and practices. Sources indicate that coaching staff are strategically planning team activities to foster collaboration while mitigating tension, aiming to prevent the controversy from affecting performance. Analysts highlight that Garrett's influence on defensive schemes and team morale is substantial, making the management of his statements critical. Fans are eagerly monitoring social media, interviews, and press conferences, looking for subtle hints of reconciliation or continued friction. The Browns front office reportedly sees this as a test of leadership, communication, and player management, understanding that mishandling could have long-term consequences for both individuals and the team. Industry insiders emphasize that the story is far from over, with the next few weeks likely to reveal whether this moment of tension will evolve into a learning experience or escalate into a defining controversy of the season. Sources close to the Browns suggest that the conversation around Garrett's controversial remarks about Sanders is evolving, with private dialogues and team meetings continuing to address the underlying tensions. Rumors indicate that while Garrett remains passionate and outspoken, management and veteran players are actively guiding him toward more constructive communication. Observers note that Sanders has maintained professionalism, potentially signaling maturity and focus in the face of criticism. Analysts are closely watching team practices, interactions, and media statements for indications of reconciliation or continued strain. Fans continue to speculate wildly, with social media amplifying every perceived nuance or slight gesture, contributing to a frenzy of discussion and interpretation. The Browns' leadership reportedly understands the delicate balance required, respecting Garrett's candor while protecting Sanders' development and public image. As this story unfolds, the NFL community remains captivated, anticipating whether the rumor will settle quietly or escalate into a defining subplot of the season, highlighting the complexities of locker room dynamics, star power, and professional accountability. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!